Okay, so my name is Ivan. I'm actually working like full-time at the moment in Max Planck Institute, where we research cognition and AI. But I also work with Yandex on a lot of interesting projects, and one of our projects, as far as I know, you saw today. Now, you talked a lot about funnels and a lot of industrial applications. No more funnels from now on, just fun and AI. That's it. Say yeah if you still have some energy. Good, nice, let's go. Why do I want to tell about what I'm doing? Well, first of all, I would like to update you on where the technologies are in the areas that are very far, or at least it feels that they are far from business. Because they're amazing, actually. we can do a lot of things we didn't even dream possible like 5 years ago, something. I also like this fact that now we live in the moment when the border between science and art is actually getting erased. And I think that this is like a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of things we can do with that. And that's more or less the general thing that I want to talk about today. But at first, let's talk about art. So say yeah if you know who's the guy on the picture. Good, absolutely right. It's just a random guy with a beard. You were correct if you thought that it's just a ginger-headed person. Did you think that it was Van Gogh? Okay, some people are actually honest. That's nice. Well, the thing is that it is not Van Gogh, but you just saw AI passing a Turing test. Well, I mean, I helped AI a bit because I framed you a bit. I told you, let's talk about art. And then I showed you an example made by our group of Anton Slesarev, who are doing amazing things with machine vision. And you bought it. And I'm sorry, but like this is a Turing test. In a very simplified way, AI just passed it. Let's keep on playing this game because it's fun and, you know, it's the end of the day. We're all tired. OK, which of the two paintings is created by an artist? Say I if you think it's the right one. Nobody. OK, one person. Say I if you think it's the left one. OK, left one is very popular somehow. You're absolutely right. Both are made by neural network, of course. So AI has passed another Turing test here. OK, now you got the game, right? You look at my hands. There's no magic. It's just technology. Let's play again, right? We have two more pictures, yeah? So who think that the right one is painted by the artist? So this one with the tulips. OK, two people. Cool. What about that one? OK, who thinks that both are created by AI? Both are human. OK, who thinks that both are human? Yeah, OK. OK, of course you are right. It's the painting on the right. Yeah. Well, actually, no, it's the painting on the left. I tricked you twice. Well, the thing is, actually, on the human one, you see Vincent written over here. If you look really closely, AI doesn't write the name of AI on its works. So actually, this is Vincent van Gogh, and this is just AI. But the cool thing about it is that I tricked you twice with the same pictures. And I think that's interesting. Moreover, if we trained another AI model specifically to put the signature, and then you would face two more pictures, both signed Vincent, or one signed Vincent and another didn't, like we just crop real Van Gogh, well, the chances are that you'll be tricked again. What does it actually mean? I think that's an interesting question because for me, it means that miracles are nigh. Miracles are here. Machines can do a lot of things that we think are creative. I mean, when I hear that machines make metal better than people, I'm amazed, but I kind of feel that it's their area, you know? They are made of metal, they may make metal better. It's all right. But when they start making art on our level, I think that's amazing. And I think that art, becoming one of these things of machine expertise, is actually giving a lot of crazy tools to people, and especially artistic people. So we're moving to the next example. It is not translatable, but this is the quote of the day by Russian Esquire. The quote more or less says, Fame to you, the heresy of iron. But the cool thing is this is an example of machine-generated poetry that me and my co-author, Alexei Tikhonov, generated. And we recorded a rock album, like punk rock album, stylized in a style of really cult Russian punk rock singer Yegor Letov. Now, I can tell a short story how we did it, but I don't know how geeky you are and how interested you are in that. But general idea was like that. We chose an author. We had a huge data set of Russian poetry, and I mean, Russian poetry is quite big, but the data set itself was very small. It was 130 megabytes, and these were all the lyrics we could find in Russian, starting from 19th century till our modern days, including some pop lyrics. We currently do the same thing for English, and it's also not very big. I mean, when you look at it on a scale of the data we currently work in the search, for example, you understand how thin is the level of culture that we managed to create so far, you know? And maybe AI would help us to make this level thicker, you know? So we generated the text, then we wrote the music, we released the album, and then we enjoyed reading the comments, right? Because, you know, you make an album that is kind of attributed and kind of pointed to the cult figure. You know, a lot of people liked him. He's dead already. Well, you kind of hurt somebody's feelings, right? But the comments were just hilarious, and I'll translate from Russian. These are some examples. So on the left, there are like examples of the good comments, and on the right, there are examples of negative comments. Now, there are several, like, I want to make a clip. Can you make another album out of it? I'm waiting for the next release. We actually got 4 offers of a tour for a digital band. And we actually seriously considering an option for a concert where you just have a laptop and just one guy comes, presses one button and leaves, and just the crowd gets crazy. Well, but the examples of negative comments are actually cooler, I think, than the examples of the positive ones. Because this one is super, super cool. I translate it for you. I listened to a couple of tracks. Why everything is so not original? And this is really cool, because the guy knows, I mean, it's like, you know, you take a rabbit out of the hat, then you explain the trick, you show where the rabbit was, and the person still complains that, come on, why did you explain the trick to me? It's still boring. You know, we explained that we reproduce the new lyrics based on old lyrics. How could it be original? And the fact that people criticize what machine wrote basing on what people think about poetry is the coolest thing. Now I'll give you an English example. This is the preview of our brilliant poetry writer. The rose she saw was beauty shining, a flower full of gold, of silence and a warning that nothing told. Yeah, Edgar Allan Poe. Of course it's not Edgar Allan Poe. This is a neural network that is simulating Edgar Allan Poe. But I think you kind of got the feeling. Yeah, I mean, Edgar Allan Poe could write that. I'm not sure. I don't know. Edgar Allan Poe was a genius. But if a person, a real person, would try to write something like Edgar Allan Poe, I'm not sure he'd be able to do something good like that, right? It could be worse. So what is interesting is that you see different areas. You see pictures. You see music. You see the music, for example, that Andrei example today in the morning. You see texts where AI actually passes some sort of Turing test. And there are actually even further examples that I really would like you to know. Now, do you like Rembrandt? Say I. All right, cool. Now, do you know this picture? No? Yeah, you know. All right. Yeah, of course you do. This is a great example of the project made by TU Delft. This is called the New Rembrandt. So this picture is actually 3D printed up to the strokes of a brush. So the people studied the statistics of how Rembrandt painted. They also studied the plots of Rembrandt paintings. They averaged them out. They said, all right, the standard painting that Rembrandt created was a Caucasian white male looking on one side, standing in the center of the picture with a dim light, with a huge hat. So they recreated it, and they recreated it up to the brush stroke. So I think this one even was in Rembrandt's museum for some time as an exhibit. And if you could come close to it, you'll see the brush strokes. So this is kind of fake it till you make it approach. And the natural question is it a doomsday, right? So are we doomed? Do we have anything left to do? I mean, in the nearest future? And my answer is, of course, yes. And I can try to explain you why. Well, technology and art have a difficult love-hate relationship, right? I mean, some people who do technology hate artists. Some artists hate people who do technology. They all have reasons for that. But the cool thing is that technology was helping art to change, you know? For example, do you know like why Dutch paintings are so different from Italian paintings, though majority of the Dutch painters studied to paint in Italy? This is a very interesting question. But if you read on the history of art, you'll find out that in the times of Rembrandt, for example, in Netherlands, you couldn't get the paints that you were able to get in Italy. The pigments were different, so the set of the colors was different. And you couldn't literally afford to paint such picturesque and beautiful, all lit sceneries of Italy that you could do in Italy at the times of Rembrandt in Netherlands. But you had a lot of different options for black, different black pigments. So boom, you have Netherlands and you have new kind of flourishing type of art. Now, you have daguerreotypes. Daguerreotypes come over, and some people like Van Gogh or Monet, they see them and they say, wait a minute, reality is not cool anymore. This, you know, soulless machine can capture reality. I'll do something different. And you see this movement, you see surrealist, you see avant-garde, you see all this revolution of the second half of 19th, beginning of the 20th century, and like new art. So I think with AI, I really hope that with AI we would actually get the same. And one of the cool things that I actually discussed with several people who do classical and modern philosophy is that you guys know what's postmodern. Yeah, postmodern era, right? Say yeah if you do. I think I lost all the people behind this third row. Come on. Okay, so, and when we just released this poetry project, a friend of mine wrote to me and said, you know, the postmodernist with a neural net in his hands is like a monkey with a grenade. Because you can, I mean, algorithms can quote and use cultural references like crazy because they're trained on cultural references. This is their natural way of thinking. So one of the things that I sincerely hope for is that as AI becomes a tool for artists, it just ruins postmodernism all over, and it becomes a commodity. It will become something that's just natural for us because it's not a big deal. Any machine can do that. This is one of the things, for example, that I really hope for. Another thing that I think is very important, and that's why we study cognition, is that we, at the moment, ask questions. And mostly the questions we ask towards AI, like a week ago, we were on the conference with Andrei in Paris, and there was a panel, the whole panel, and the name of the panel was, what will you do when machine will be able to do what you do? And I asked a question, I said, wait a minute, usually people create machines to do something we cannot do. That's the whole point of the machine. You build an excavator to excavate way more earth than you can ever do with a shovel. But it doesn't kill the shovel. You just use it in your garden. You probably wouldn't use excavator there, right? So I think we are asking a lot of people in this agenda of like doomsday and AI taking all of our jobs and eliminating us. They're asking wrong questions. The interesting question is to ask what happens when the machine would be able to do what we are not able to do. What happens when we get a creative machine that is able to create new meaning? What happens when we can be communicating with the machines? How their communication will be different from ours? These are all crazy things, and we cannot ask these questions because we don't know that about our own brain. We don't know how we conceptualize. We don't know how we make hypotheses. We have very, very, very vague understanding of what's happening in our own heads. And I believe that the coolest thing about AI at this moment is that studying AI, you can get right questions to ask about our own thinking and our own brain. And I would like to end with this beautiful picture that I really love. Peter sees the computer. But the machine only creates what humans have taught it to, says Peter. So do you, says Mommy. Thank you very much. Ask the right questions and